Hi, welcome everyone to the Chenrezig Tibetan Buddhist Center live teaching of the precious Garland. We're very honored to have Khensur Rinpoche here with us. Rinpoche is the retired abbot of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's monastery, Namgyal, and he's considered by all of the world's greatest scholars, including His Holiness the Dalai Lama, as one of the greatest living beings to understand Buddhism, both Sutra and Tantra. So we're so blessed and fortunate. Anywhere in the world, it'd be rare to have this. Before COVID, we were fortunate enough to every week be able to receive teachings live at the center, which is unheard of. If you were to travel to India or to Tibet and to try to find a qualified teacher to be able to weekly give you teachings on the Lam Rim, it would be next to impossible. And now, fortunately, because of Ted Zervis's kindness, and Katie and Geshe Lharampa, who takes care of Rinpoche, and all of the causes and conditions coming together, we now are able to do this live, even though we're in the middle of this pandemic. So hopefully this will in some way help you to move closer to enlightenment and help bless those around you to suffer just a little bit less. So with that, let's get started with some introductory prayers. Thank you all for being here. It allows me to continue to generate virtue and learn Buddhism from Rinpoche. If there were no participants, I wouldn't have the opportunity to translate and the opportunity that I've had, since the late 90s to be able to be next to such a holy individual. So I just want to say thank you to Rinpoche. Thank you, Rinpoche, for teaching us all of these years and teaching us in such a pure, clean way. And focusing on what really is important. And those are the foundational practices of Buddhism, which cause the actual mystical things we read about to occur. But without any of those foundational practices, it's just imagination that we're playing with and enjoying, which can be enjoyable, but it isn't really spiritual growth necessarily if it doesn't have the foundational practices of the understanding of the nature of reality and bodhicitta. Because it's very easy to misunderstand things and then believe that our imagination is real and it's not the correct thing to, we're not actually imagining what's correct. So with that, let's get started with the prayer of refuge and bodhicitta we'll do in Tibetan. We'll try to have it led by Rinpoche. There's a delay that's taking place. So I'll just get started with it, and we'll do it 3 times just in Tibetan. Actually, let's make a mandala offering. Also, let's do the outer mandala offering and then the refuge prayer, just to get started. I think that if we're all doing it together, it's a beautiful thing to make this offering. And the prayer book's online, so and maybe people won't be as embarrassed to try out the Tibetan if you're not in person. All right. Rinpoche, tambo ngatsu jinkor dang dene jantro. Okay. za ye yu li ya ba lo zo. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. Idam Guru Rana Mandala Kam Niratayam. Rinpoche, Jantro. Chedan Ye Yanam La Nyanjo Bado Dani Yatsuchi Daki Sunam Ye Drala Penjir Ye Jubajo Jadan Ye Yanam Yanjo Bado Dani Yasoji Nagi Junye Jibe Zunam Ye Rola Benye Zanye Jubajo Zanye Jadan Zodye Janam La Yanjo Bado Dani Yasu Nagi Nam Ye Rola Benye Zanye Juma Yo.
Tare je thawa la rin double res ro chibu chunga la ding la chibu chimbi la chibu chunga la chandu da ne magi chumu chutin tala tena dendu ra thaba su chibu chimbi ding la tala ten thabal ra shanchu ji sa da shidu la suba chibu chimbi la tala tena sanje bi chu o te sin samarba.
So welcome again to the Chenrezig Tibetan Buddhist Center. Khensur Rinpoche is explaining the precious garland. So if we are going to be at stanza number 262 when we begin, but as an introduction, Rinpoche wanted to explain how the precious garland has all of the same contents or information that we find in the Lam Rim teachings. In the categories that we find in the very beginning of Nagarjuna's precious garland, we see that the first chapter is called High Status and Certain Goodness, or Definite Goodness. These refer to two types of results that we get from varying behaviors that are actually concordant with or have the same kind of information from a graduated stages standpoint as the small, medium, and great scope teachings in the Lam Rim. So when we look at that first category of high status, this is referring to higher realm rebirth. There are 6 realms of cyclic existence, 3 lower realms and 3 higher realms. The lower realms are the hell, hungry ghost, and animal realm. The higher realms are the human realm, demigod, and God's realm. The person who wishes to achieve the state of high status wishes to have rebirth in the higher realms of cyclic existence. So high status refers to the higher realms. So when we look at the Lam Rim teachings, we find the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity are the first category in the Lam Rim. These teachings are for practitioners who wish to achieve a higher realm rebirth. So we can see that the goal is the same. If we're looking at what high status is referring to achieving higher realm rebirth. And when we look at the teaching shared in common with beings of small capacity, those goals are to achieve higher realm rebirth. So the Buddha stated that by practicing the following teachings, one would be able to achieve higher realm rebirth. So the Buddha stated that by going for refuge to the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and engaging in ethical behavior that abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities, and then acknowledging negativity if one has wavered, by depending upon those practices, one would be able to achieve higher realm rebirth or high status if we're looking at it in terms of the precious garland. So that's the first category of the Lam Rim, the teaching shared in common with beings of small capacity, called shared in common because medium capacity and great capacity rely on them as well. The next category of teachings of the Lam Rim get into what is the next category in the precious garland, which is called definite goodness or certain goodness. This refers to, at the lowest level, just an individual liberation or nirvana. And then ultimately, Nagarjuna is referring to Buddhahood because this is a Mahayana text. So when we go back to the Lam Rim and we look at how that relates to definite goodness or certain goodness, the teaching shared in common with beings of medium capacity, which are the Hinayana teachings, are for those practitioners who wish to achieve their own individual nirvana, their own liberation, without believing they have the ability to achieve complete Buddhahood. So they remove what are called the afflictive obstructions, and those afflictive obstructions are what bind all of us to cyclic existence. So the Buddha stated that by engaging in the three highest higher trainings, highest higher training in ethics, concentration, and wisdom, that one would be able to end cyclic existence, end those 6 realms altogether, remove the afflictive obstructions which bind us that are caused by grasping at true establishment, and then be able to achieve our own individual nirvana. So those are called the teachings shared in common with beings of medium capacity. Now, for a practitioner who wishes to achieve complete Buddhahood, it's necessary to practice what are called the teachings for beings of great capacity. And this is what Nagarjuna is ultimately referring to when he states certain goodness or definite goodness. Because it is a Mahayana text, the goals are Mahayana goals. The goal of a Mahayanist is to be a Buddha. So the entrance into the Mahayana vehicle is bodhicitta, the mind that wishes to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. So the Buddha stated that if one practices the teaching shared in common with beings of small capacity, teaching shared in common with beings of medium capacity, and then couple them with the following, which are the teachings for beings of great capacity, bodhicitta, and then the practice of the 6 perfections. So the practitioner of great capacity becomes a bodhisattva and then engages in what's called engaged bodhicitta, which are the 6 perfections. And then he or she is able, through the stages and then eventually highest yoga tantra, to remove the obstructions to omniscience and become a Buddha. So Nagarjuna is speaking of precisely the same thing that Lord Atisha in the Lam Rim, Jetsun in the Lam Rim, and all of the other pandits and holy beings speak of in the Lam Rim. So this is how we see the Lam Rim in combination with the precious garland. And all of the stages are necessary to be able to remove the obstructions to omniscience. So if you don't go for refuge to the 3 jewels and you don't have that realization, then the foundation for even the Hinayana realizations aren't there. So you see how these are building blocks, and these things aren't just meditations to familiarize with. That familiarization leads to realizing refuge. And you can find in many commentaries on the Lam Rim that each of the Lam Rim topics is actually a realization that is required as a foundation for the next. Dikson Rinpoche, ngondru dets la son, cheran songchuna. Dikson. Gong Chu Dun. Okay, Disum, Gan Chu, Ni Cha, Dru Chu. Rinpoche, the no lo mare. Anjer Google mare. Chiran Ka, Natsu Anjer Google mare. That's good. How do I unmute him? Do they have to unmute him? What's the matter? Ted, Rinpoche's volume's not on. Is that his? Am I doing that or is he doing that? Yeah, Rinpoche is muted. Ted. Call Ted. Ted Skur Rinpoche. Rinpoche is muted. You're muted, Rinpoche. Still muted.
I can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Ted's fixing it.
Now,
All right. The Yanjer Laro Nang Gangisina Chiran Kanga, Yanjer Gumason.
Pasha Mega, the Pasha Jimba Tambaina, Jimba Del Habayo Maris. Kala Chuta, Kamena, Shutanata, Tubate, Tayumela Tetsena, Telejinchu Machesos.
Then Yabudu. We can hear it, Ted. We're good.
Pasha Mega, the Pasha Jimba Tambaina,
Less so.
Jimba Del Habayo Maris.
Less so, less so. So if we go to stanza number 262, if you provide facilities for those most deprived who lack the means to study the doctrine, there is no greater gift than that. So you see a lot of parentheses there. When you read Nagarjuna's work, it doesn't flow so easily. It's a gift that we have these great scholars like Jeffrey Hopkins and Robert Thurman and so forth, many others, Art Engel, that have been able to make these words so that we can understand them. So if you provide for those most deprived who lack the means, the doctrine, there is no greater gift. That's even written in a more easy way than the Sanskrit would have been. So thank you to all the translators who make this so that we can understand it. So if you provide facilities for those most deprived who lack the means to study the doctrine, there is no greater gift than that. So Rinpoche said that if you make sure that those who don't have the ability to study because they don't have books, they don't have the resources that would allow them to be able to study, if you provide those for them, there is no greater gift that you can give someone. So it's saying the greatest gift is the means to study, is the method or the ability to study, which here is referring to books and so forth. And Rinpoche said, giving them with your hands if you can. Okay, dis. Gang du ne.
Kala tu Penjuna, Tela tu Jimba Jes,
Ave.
Hosin Jen Pengaduna, and the Kula Jimba Town Wures.
Less so.
Kazi Chu Jama Pena, Tela Zeni, Kala Jimba na Kula Tin Pengamaduna, Jimba Town Juamares.
Less so. Then Rinpoche. Then they do the Sena Tegamare. They ngate Sampa, oh, they made ducha. Then a Kong Megewasa, then Dukte, then Kong Shigare. They lapcha yomare be.
Kala tu Penjuna, tu Kula Jimba Town, Kurun Pengaduna,
And
and Jimba Town Wures.
then a compen, not salo compen yomare, compen.
Kula Pengaduna tu Jimba Town Wures.
Okay, so then the next stanza says, even give poison to those whom it will help, but do not give even the best food to those whom it will not help. So it's very clear in here. The word benefit is referring to their own personal benefit in terms of their health and so forth. So I just always want to clarify when it says things like this. This isn't referring to euthanizing someone so they don't create more non-virtue. And it's been interpreted as that by students. So I just want to make sure that you're clear that this is speaking of medicine. For some poison is medicine, but for others that even the best food if it won't help them in some way, you shouldn't give it. So it's basically saying that everything given should be for benefit, no matter what. Geshe Rinpoche. Drogi zin la.
Druji sin la jetabo. Sumache na, penshe nas. Drug sotaba ina zana. Sumache na, pega sheva.
Lesso.
Dejin tube jenpen ba. Madawaya shawa sons. Kuba
Lesso.
sonji jodan dege. And the double majuna ya. Then the shagu. Lekat drugu re son vares.
Lesso.
Madawaya shawa son.
Lesso.
Tambi chudan chuba la. Neji kude. Chudan ne. Goba shede. Chunye jis. Tambi chudan chuma. Chudan chuma la. Neji kude chudan ne. Goba shede. Chunye gures.
Lesso.
Chuji jimba. Ta jang chus. Ta chu sheba ina chuji jimba injirwa. Ta jang chus. Jiten tang la. Gang manju. Jiten tang la gang manju. Jiten tang la gaba cheju mares. Jiten de la jeban jus. Jiten lende bas. Jiten tan jiten lende bas. Tene yola menche tene jiten ba. Palang tuwane jiten lende bas.
They understood the Julam, that Solan Julam, there, Solan Julam.
Yola menche tene jiten ba.
Ale, Lesso.
Solan menche tene jiten lende ba.
Tuchena.
What is one is that?
Lesso.
Jiten de la jeban tu.
Wow, that's really
Da la jeta tejin do. Yen la yun ten jeban tu. Susul yun ten yun na gabu yoba na jin. Yen la yun ten jeba zegu jeban tu. Senbi chuji mungu shin. Tunzun naba ewa tang. Lama tala yunbi wa. Tatu kubi zedu zus. Senbi chuji mungu shin. Chu kazi nyeba ina nguwa yu mares. Chu kazi tona nguwa yu meba na jin. Wateres. Tunzun naba ewa tang.
Kago.
Lama tala yunbi wa. Tatu kubi zedu zus. Chuzunga lama talita,
Lesso.
yuan nama zana mu, chitaya na yuan na tega ures.
Lesso.
Jite jampen, su mendun. Naje tun tu tsuba pong. Rangi yuan ten, mga shin, dalang yuan ten juba. Susu yuan ten, nga jo chaya yu ma re. Dal yuan ten yuan na ya, yabar zana. Haba jogures,
Lesso.
dalang yeden jobandu. Nela oba majishin, jena lana, nesenji, lima maji, daniji, chuba susu tabar chas. Jela junju ayo marasa dinsar, jela oba majishin, jena lana, nesenji, lima maji, daniji, chuba susu tabar chas. Susu najin wati jela dina, susu junju na naba na jela junju wan jeju marasa.
Yabudu. That's good. Injike. Okay, so I just want to read on stanza number 264. Just just as it is said that it will help to cut off a finger bitten by a snake, so the subduer says that if it helps others, one should even bring temporary discomfort. So sometimes when giving medicine or giving a medical treatment, there's a little bit of pain, or if you know that that little bit of pain will ultimately help them or be of benefit, then you should look at it like a finger having to be cut off in order to save the life of someone who's had a snake bite. I don't know if that's what they medically do anymore, but so that's the point of it, is you should help no matter what, but you need to be very clear that you are helping. So this is speaking to someone who knows that they are helping in a worldly sense at this point. So this is when it's speaking of poison and food and things like that. It has a small implicit meaning, but it's literally speaking of worldly things, and how you should help. You should respect most highly the excellent doctrine and its proponents. You should listen reverently to the doctrine and also impart it to others. It says that you should not only listen to the doctrine from qualified teachers, but you should also impart it to others. This part's very important also, because to have a commentary on, because as Buddhists, we don't knock on doors and impart our teachings to others. We see it's even a vow not to teach emptiness to those who aren't prepared to hear it. And you really have to be quite qualified to know the difference between that type of disciple. So when we're imparting teachings, or if someone asks us a question about Buddhism, then it's fine. If we've been asked or requested to teach, we're not supposed to teach unless we're requested. So that's the first part. And the second part is that you better be sure that you know what you're talking about, and that it is Buddhism and it traces back to Buddha, and that you have sources, and that you definitely know what you're talking about. It's not coffee shop jargon that we're studying here. This is the difference between someone having to die and not having to die. This is the difference between someone having to experience the suffering of change, the suffering of suffering, and pervasive compounded suffering, or not. It's not whether or not you'll look good in a coffee shop or you'll look good in your monthly group. It's about stopping suffering for every being. So just remember that that's what the stakes are that we're talking about here. So when you are giving a little speech or a soliloquy on Buddhism, that I know I loved giving in my earlier days the most, just remember that you're imparting information that's more important than the cure for cancer. So just make sure you're right, Okay, so take no pleasure in worldly talk. And actually, when you're discussing anything that isn't Dharma, which means spoken word of the Buddha, it would be considered gossip or worldly talk. So if you are talking about Buddhism and you're incorrect in any way, it's gossip. Interesting. Take delight in what passes beyond the world. So this is the part that Rinpoche pointed out. He gave a lot of commentary in each of these. Take delight in what passes beyond the world. So when we look at the 5 paths, we have also Hinayana and Mahayana, but this is Mahayana. So when we look at the 5 Mahayana paths, we have the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing, the path of meditation, and the path of no more learning. So the last stages of worldly being occur at the path of preparation. There are 4 divisions of the path of preparation: heat, peak, patience, and last mundane state. So it's that 4th stage of the path of preparation, which is the last state of worldly. The next stage is the path of seeing. Once one reaches the path of seeing, he or she is then an Arya, a superior being, an unworldly being. So the line of demarcation between worldly and not worldly, in this case, is the 4th level of the path of preparation, is kind of the borderline. And once you cross that, you then become a non-worldly being, an Arya being. It's just like the 10th Bodhisattva ground is the border between sentient being and Buddhahood. A Buddha is not a sentient being. So that how does someone become a not sentient being? You cross the 10th Bodhisattva level border. So it's similar here. You become a non-worldly being when you cross the last mundane state of the path of preparation and move into the path of seeing. So Rinpoche explained that. So at 87 years old, we don't have to worry if Rinpoche's mind is working or not. Take no pleasure in worldly talk. Take delight in what passes beyond the world. Cause good qualities to grow in others in the same way you wish them for yourself. So it's basically saying be a good role model. Influence others to do virtuous things. Be an example of Buddhism, not a sermon, if you will. If someone asks for one, explain it, but be more of an example as a role model. Please do not be satisfied with doctrine heard, but retain and discriminate meanings. Please always be intent on offering presents to teachers. So Rinpoche said that you should never be satisfied with just a course summary or a rough understanding of the teachings. You should be able to not only have heard them, you should be able to retain them, remember them, and then be able to know what each of the details means. And don't be satisfied with just some coarse understanding. And you should, it says, Rinpoche said, if you can. This doesn't mean you have to. It says, if you are in a position to do so, make offerings to teachers. So, yeah. And then it says, do not recite books of worldly nihilists and so forth. Forsake debating in the interest of pride. Do not praise your own good qualities, but speak of the good qualities of even your foes. So this is about abandoning the praise of yourself and grasping at self-cherishing. And then it implicitly is speaking about abandoning the self-cherishing attitude and changing it to an attitude that cherishes others by not speaking of your own good qualities, but speaking of the good qualities of even foes. You are finding an equal state between friends, enemies, and neutrals. And by doing so, you'll have the ability to equalize and exchange self with others by beginning to do these simple steps. When debating, do not attack the quick. Do not attack to the quick. Do not talk about others with bad intent. Individually analyze your own mistakes yourself. So we're basically worry about your own mistakes. And when you're debating, you don't have to like drive someone into the ground to show them that they're wrong. Drive yourself into the ground to show yourself where you're wrong and correct that. We're always so quick to tear others apart, but if we try to tear apart ourselves, we think it's too rough. And God forbid anyone tears us apart. Nicha drunju, dunju.
Nyeba kanki yenda la kebe tazu kaja was. Tena rangi yobunshin nebe yenla doba shas. Kyun yoba yena ane yenla temaji la ugures, rangi tepon ugures. Nebe yenla, neba yoba yena yenla ya kyun deba do ugures, doba sha. Yenje nyoba jeba la, Hale control majetes. Je never jebala and Johanami ladies and Gongores.
Less so.
Roland Mares.
Less so.
Majete.
Natsu depo.
Dunge Yanjun Manjoa. Dranga Neba Mebaches. Dunge Yanjum Manjoa de Dranga Neba. Dranga Neba the Mebache Gores. Mebache. Lala Roa Machiba. Jela Jendala Camanjus, Chusheba Ina and Sichitaker is on Roaji Maris, Jela Pembache Ures, Jendala and Pamanju. Dunge Jibu Najishin, Dwa Rondan, Tajishi, Hai Pansu Phunsu Tsubi Chang, Khenpa Nye Tu Maja Shen, Hai Phunsu Da Yoba Yina, Ngaje Je Jo Mares, Eda Shen Do, Yo Shas, Eda Shen Do, and Nga Yoba Yin San San Tang Ures,
Bless her.
Gube Chang Ne, Shon Meje, and Chuba Chaba Yina, Sansu Chaju Mares,
Bless her.
Damba Kanki, Randun La,
That's great.
Chi Yang,
Relate here.
and then Ngaje Chua Yana, Jabu Se, Nyanju Tene, Taju Jin, Tele Jen to Jumajas, Jumaje, Cheke Somba Tejin to, Zebi Tuju Tatan Du, Tena Paden, Tena Peden, Satin to, Samayin Tambajoro, Chun Tatu Tangela, Leba Tatan Zebatan, Yanda Chijin, Zebe, Jejitime, Jubandu, Chula Jesse, the Watan, Shuna Kuntu Tabai, Lara Jashin, John Jushin, Robert Najan, Kuntu Du,
I see.
Chi Jen, Mawate, Shubi Jen, Nozeshi, the Dalan, Chowayan, Teyu Tato, Chundu Jis, Tawa the Juba Sugar, Chuabaja were setting Sar.
Bless her. This Sheda Ke Chempeldu.
Yeah,
The Chewe Cheni Monwa De. This Shiloka Sheda Ke Chempeldu. That's large. That's
Chi
the
Jen Mawates,
bless her.
Chi Jen, Shag Jen Mobures,
Bless her.
Shubi Jen, Diag Jen Junores,
Union.
Tada Nina, Chi Choyan, Teyu Tato, Chundujis, Juba Sugar, Tena, Chuabaja were setting Sar.
Okay. That's cool. Ngeji Kelo. You should root out completely from yourself the faults the wise decry in others, and through your influence also cause others to do the same. So the great masters have listed all of those things that we are supposed to abandon. The Buddha has stated the behaviors that we should engage in, and the behaviors that we should abandon. So we should root out all of those things which the great masters and holy beings have stated that we should get rid of and abandon. And by doing so, we then become a role model, if you will, and through your influence also cause others to do the same. Here, this is a letter written to a king. And remember, every time you're reading this is a letter written to a king. So he's saying, as a king, you develop these excellent qualities yourself and then encourage your followers to do the same. So just remember the amount of power the person that has that this text is being written to in terms of societal norms and so forth. So Nagarjuna is again writing this letter to a king about how to be a Buddhist as a king and run a Buddhist kingdom. You should root out, okay, considering the harm others do to you as created by your former deeds, do not get angry. So Rinpoche stopped there and said that everything that we experience is a result of karma. So non-virtuous karma creates suffering. Virtuous karma creates happiness. We have had beginningless lives. So the continuum that Jeff has right now had a previous life that it abided in. So Jeff was born, but before Jeff was born, there was a consciousness in the intermediate state which was suitable, and the causes and conditions were right for that consciousness in the intermediate state to then fall into the aggregates that are then named Jeff. But before that Jeff, there was an intermediate state, or bardo. And before the bardo, there was a previous life. And the previous life, that consciousness was the name, but it wasn't Jeff. It could have been an ant, it could have been a god, could have been a hungry ghost. It could have been any among the 6 realm dwellers. That consciousness could have abided in it. So that consciousness is collecting all of the imprints of those lives. Virtuous actions are imprinted, which will in the future create happiness. Non-virtuous actions have been imprinted, or seeds have been placed, which will then grow into or manifest into non-virtue, into suffering. So when we experience suffering, it's a result of our previous deeds, not Jeff's previous deeds, but the continuum that Jeff is sharing with the previous lives that the continuum basically was in, if you will, the consciousness abided in. So don't get mad at someone else when they're seemingly causing us suffering. We are the ones who created that. They are not creating any of it. It's very hard to see that, but we have created all of our experiences. They're just actors in the play that we've created. So, and we're labeling it. We're not creating it from our mind, meaning there's nothing but mind. It means our mind's labeling it like this or that. So it's saying, don't get angry. As he said, everything, considering the harm others do to you, when someone is stabbing you, that's created by your previous karma. Don't get mad at them. Get mad at non-virtue. Get mad at creating non-virtue. Abandon creating non-virtue. And by doing so, you abandon the causes for being stabbed. So then it says just that. Act such that further suffering will not be created. So if you don't get angry, then you don't create the cause for another harm. If you get angry, then you create the cause for another harm. Because anger creates negativity, because anger is non-virtuous, and results are concordant with their causes. So it's saying, if you stay patient, don't react, don't get angry, look at it as karma, you've just created the cause for it not to happen again. And your own faults will disappear, it says. Without hope of reward, provide help to others, bear suffering alone, and share your pleasure with beggars. Do not be inflated, even by the prosperity of gods. Do not be depressed, even by the poverty of hungry ghosts. For your sake, always speak the truth, even should it cause your death or ruin your governance. Do not speak in any other way. So it's saying, if the truth here is referring to the Dharma, but it also can mean don't lie. But it's saying that always remain steadfast with the Dharma. You've seen those horrendous videos or read those stories of the Chinese government in '59 holding monks at gunpoint and asking them to not take refuge. And they take refuge right before they're murdered. And that's what it means. It means having that kind of conviction. That's refuge. If you have that, you have refuge. I don't have that. I wish I had that. Even for your sake, always speak the truth, even should it cause your death or ruin your governance. Do not speak in any other way. Don't lie. Don't misspeak, even if it's going to make you not a king. Don't do it. Always observe the discipline of actions, just as has been explained. In that way, O glorious one, you will become the best of authoritative beings upon the earth. So it's saying, don't try to be the best king. Be the best being on the earth. You should always analyze well everything before you act, and seeing things correctly as they are. Do not put full reliance in others. Through these practices, your realm will be happy. A canopy of fame will rise in all directions, and your officials will respect you fully. This is the last stanza in Rinpoche talked about. The causes of death are many. Those of staying alive are few. These too can become causes of death. Therefore, always perform the practices. We have to make sure that every day, every moment, when we can, we're practicing, because we have a lot more ways to die than we do to stay alive. And it's saying even those things we do to stay alive, which cause us to stay alive, can cause us to die. So for instance, what could that possibly mean? If you're getting a blood transfusion, but there's some kind of poison in the blood and that kills you. So there's many things. All it would take is for us to not breathe for a very short period of time and this life is over. For us to bleed for a very short period of time and this life is over. Think of how many things you can die from over the course of a day. And then think of how many things actually cause you to not die, that you actually do today, what caused you to not die. You don't have many of those. What'd you do today to not die in a car accident? Well, you drove safely, etc. But you can't control others. This is your karma. So it's just saying that because anything can happen at any moment because of karma, we're not in the driver's seat. The only thing that we're in the driver's seat with right now is practice. So if we can invest in practice, doesn't mean that we're walking around with a book and pretending we're reading it. It means that we're actually engaged in practice. You can do that without a book in your hand. So just make sure that mindfulness is something that goes beyond this couple-hour session or goes beyond when you're talking to somebody about it, and remember that, oh yeah, that's something that I do. It's a way of life. And that's why Buddhism is something that's a true blueprint that if you practice, you can see the results of. And if you logically look at what Nagarjuna is saying, it's inarguable. Okay. 279, Rinpoche. Nica dunju go. Rinpoche. Nica dunju go. Okay. Rinpoche would like question and answer. I actually have a first question, and it relates to this text. It's great. It's from Adrian. Rinpoche, ngatsu becha the Namgyal yapi omare the Uma Rinchen Chewa. That's good. I'm gonna find the quote. That's good. I hate putting my finger up. It's the only way you can see. Rinpoche, the Hlai Punsu Sope Jang Gemba Nidu Meja Shing Yida Shindu Buayi Jupe Jangni Shumedgi Nicha Dunju Dunsun. So the question, I'll share the question in one moment. The Rinpoche, the Shanchu Sem. So the question that Adrian has is that we find in these texts and in the Bodhisattva vows a lot of abandonment of pride, and that we need to abandon pride. But then when you look into some of the tantras, it says to generate pride. So the question is, how do those two things make sense together? Rinpoche, the Shanchu Sembi Dumba, Dan, Uma Rinchen Trewa Lapcha, Namgyal Yapi Omare, Namgyal Pong. Yene, Shaju, Gom, Namgyal Gom. Chapagare. The Namgyal Tenzin Namgyal Yomar. Chapagare. I don't know.
La.
The Shaju, Shuju, Nejor Ju, Nejor Lana Mepi Ju. Shaju. The nga Chenrezig Gomjana, Chenrezig Namgyal. The Yure.
Chenrezig Gomjana,
Namgyal.
Naje.
Yes.
Naje da Chunro.
Yene Shaju, the Yure. The Doni Dopi Doni Salo Dana. Dene Shri. Dene the Hla Gom. Then Namgyal. Hla Namgyal. Namgyal.
Sana da Naje sa da Naje Kakaro.
The Namgyal, that's Larona. The Garre.
Hai Naje da Sana sa da Tanga Lai Sama Gundia del Naje Logro.
Less so.
Sabaton de la Sana. Ha Sabaton Tondona Sana. Hai Naje da Sana sa da Naje Kakaro. Naje Pongure.
Less
Hai
so.
Sana da Naje Ponju Mare. Gongures.
Less so. So when we have this pride, it's the pride of the deity. It's not pride as ourselves. The pride, we don't have pride in ourselves. And that's why the meditation arises from emptiness. The pride, that word that's being used there, is different than the way that it's being used in terms of abandonment. So this is the pride, believing that you are the actual deity. So that's the pride that it's speaking of, that you are actually the real Chenrezig, in this luminosity, in this very clear way. So the pride that's being generated there is the pride of the deity, that there's been a generation of a perfect being. So it's that that's generating. It's not a grasping at oneself or having pride because you can do it. It's an actual state of, I am the Buddha. It's kind of like, I am Chenrezig. I am the Buddha. It's the manifestation and the abandonment of ordinary appearances. And just for anybody who doesn't have an initiation, the reason we're talking about this is that there's a question that's been asked, and yeah.
That is on Zamil Nayang Chaduaris or Della Drama Gabi Zonda, Halak Zondas, on Tar Turiso. They are on Bekan, Maham Bekan, and the Samanga days was what the dong in a pancreas.
So right now, the world has this pandemic going on. There are so many people that are sick, and so many people that are suffering. So if we can do mantras and do prayers for them, or they can do them, just practice in general will be of benefit at a micro level and a macro level. So if we can do the long life white Tara prayer of Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha, this will be very helpful. If we can do the meditation of white Tara and whatever level of practitioner we are. So just as a note, if you have the initiation of a deity, you can manifest yourself as the deity. It's called a permission. If you do not have the initiation of the deity or the blessing or permission, then you can meditate with the deity in the front generation form, meaning that you imagine them right in front of you, as opposed to generating yourself as that. And when you do the self-generation meditation, there is a front generation aspect that you make offerings to and then dissolve through emptiness into you to become a self-generation, usually in the sadhana. So, so if you don't have the initiation, you can still imagine the deity in the front generation and streaming all of the various lights and so forth that you find in the other practices, and imagine that they're going to you and to all sentient beings, helping them to recover from this suffering and others. So that was the Tara mantra. And then Rinpoche also mentioned the medicine Buddha mantra, which is Teata Om Bekenze Bekenze Maha Bekenze Bekenze Ranzo Samogati Soha. So in the same way as Tara, if we can meditate on medicine Buddha, it will be of benefit. So let me go to the Q&A real quick. Okay, does Dharma cause things literally outside of our minds and our life to occur, karma, such as people to have certain opinions of us, which is affecting minds or physical things in the world to be altered, like storms or rocks seemingly falling on our head at the right moment? Or is karma merely a disposition to suffer or not? It causes everything we experience. The rock couldn't fall on our head if we didn't have the karma for it to happen. So, whereas if the rock looks beautiful, we have a beautiful karma to see it as beautiful. If it looks ugly, we have the karma to see it as ugly. Whereas outside situations themselves are merely neutral, caused only by physics and cause and effect. The same river perceived by lower or pus, water, neck, tornado damage being devastation with some others. So can everybody read the questions that are there? Or do I need to read them all out loud? Are you right there, Ted?
Read them all aloud.
All right. Does karma cause things literally outside of our minds and our life to occur, such as people to have certain opinions of us, which is affecting minds, or physical things in the world to be altered, like storms or rocks seemingly falling on our head at the right moment? Or is karma merely the mental disposition to suffer or not, and or interpret certain situations negatively or not based on your disposition? Whereas outside situations themselves are merely neutral or caused only by physics and cause and effect. The same river perceived by lower and higher being realms as pus, water, nectar, or tornado damage being devastatingly emotional to some, where others can simply move on. Now I'm going to give it a try. Rinpoche. Ngatsu tongwa kanga. Ngatsu lei yin. Ngatsu do tona. Ngatsu shin tuna, mota tona, ngatsu lanka tuna. De kanga ngatsu le.
Yes, yes.
Bene le mena mota maybe. Maybe cheer.
Yeah.
So Rinpoche said that karma causes everything. And I said, how about the cars, the trees, the rocks, everything? And he said, karma causes it all. I said, so if there's no karma, there's no car? He said, no car. No karma, no car. Dene gar shene, dene the, so le mena, mota mena.
Yeah.
Mota le me.
Oh, gaga le on grace le.
Yine mota le yomare. Mota le me. Gangisena semchen yomares. Sem yomare. Le sa sen yin gu. Rinpoche. It's so hard to do this. It's a great question. So Zambaling Kanga Le Zusum. Then Semchen Mena Zambaling you me. Rinpoche. Semchen Mena Zambaling you me. Rinpoche, the Sheba mena zambaling yu me.
Shiva men zamli yoga male.
Yomare. So it requires a consciousness for there to be a world. Dene garshene sem sampi dawa nyune yomare.
Sazam tal that jamba tuba khilende karwa.
Vale. So yune zambaling yu. Chu shilo ngatsu sem shilola. Chu yure. Nga nge benzu kang becha yure. The ngatsu the sha drona becha yure. Ngatsu madena becha yure. I'm saying if we're not sitting in this room, the books are still here. It's too, I apologize. I think that the delay that's occurring, this is like quicker, easier questions about the text. We can get into the details of, but the answer is karma creates everything. Karma creates the rock. Karma creates the world. Rinpoche said, if there's no karma, there's no world. So it's not just the interpretation itself, it's actually the world in some way. Then you ask, how are there then, and then I just asked him, then how is the mind only school incorrect? And that's where I think we're getting into too deep a water to do this with a delay. And it would take hours, I think, to root this out even without a delay. But it is important. So let's just understand that Rinpoche's answer is karma creates everything. Then Rinpoche, Vikucha, le zusun, nge kucha, le zusun. So he isn't saying that this chair is created by karma. He's saying that this chair is lei wang, is experienced by karma. Like our karma is the experience of this chair is our karma. So that's all we know is our experience of the chair. So that's why a hungry ghost sees this and an animal sees that, is because they can only know their experience of the water, pus, or nectar. That makes sense. So it's our experience of the chair is karma. So that's where we are. We've got 9 questions now. So I'm just going to do the best I can with this. So I'm sorry that I have to ask this again, but I've been asking for book recommendations a few times since I've been coming here, and I always thought I could go into the archives of teachings on YouTube and dig them up when I was reading them, but it turns out you don't put the Q&A stuff online. And with all my time at home, I've been looking for more stuff to read. If you could give me a recommendation on a book that discusses deity, White Tara meditation in fairly close detail, a good book on the Tibetan style of logic and debate, and a good translation of Nagarjuna's Mulya Madhya Karika. Also, can people see the link to the PDF of Hopkins' translation I posted on the chat? Mulya Madhyamika Karika, I think there's a commentary Lama Tsongkhapa did, Ocean of Reasoning. That's the one that I know of. I think Garfield maybe translated it. I'm not sure. So look into that. There's a text on the White Tara practice, which is Trijung/Asjok Rinpoche sadhanas. It's called The Healing Nectar of Immortality. Healing Nectar of Immortality. That's the most detailed book that I know of, but it is very detailed, and you could, if you don't have the foundational practices, I'm speaking in general to everyone, spending a lot of time with that book could get you lost and get you kind of into a place of imagination that might be dangerous, because it is so detailed, and that book is assuming really that that practitioner is quite advanced. So books that I would say if you haven't read the 3-volume series of the graduated stages of the path to enlightenment, the Lam Rim by Lama Tsongkhapa, a couple of times. I would run through those, and I would read Pabunka Rinpoche's Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand 3 or 4 times. So I would, and I'm saying that from experience, not being like, oh, you should do something impossible. I'm speaking from experience. So I would say that without those foundations, it's very hard to practice. And then style of logic and debate, there's a very good book called A Course in Tibetan Buddhist Debate, Reasoning and Debate. A Course in Tibetan Buddhist Reasoning and Debate. Let me see if I can move this. Can I move that box over so I can see myself? Because I can't see if they can see. I'm sure they can see it. This book. This is one of the best books that I've seen for debate. Tibetan book and reasoning. The Dasi Dam Becha, the Dutra Becha, Dutra, the Low Rig, Da Rig, Dasi Dam Becha, the Triwa Dan Lenja, the Injike Becha, Dasi Dan Garre. Then the Chan, the Becha, the Gari Becha, the Tanda Ngatsu Dutsu Mambo Yure. Then Becha Gari Apudu. Then ngay segudu larim chemo, namdru lajan. Then Chijan Rinpoche the dronkar becha. Yabudue. Okay, so that's what we're doing. I don't know about the posting thing. Okay, open. I'm getting to the other questions. Hold on. Now, how do I now, I'm sorry, hon, how do I get my questions? I can't now get to this bar where I need to in order to, I see, now I can move it. Yeah, it's okay. Now, if I want to move this, do I click it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Jeff. I had a question about a story I heard about a monk who did not have much wisdom and couldn't remember prayers. How did the Buddha help him? So that's the story of Chuddapantaka. I'll see if Rinpoche wants to tell it. If he doesn't, I'll do it quickly. Rinpoche. Palan chungo loju dets chiranam.
Na,
Palam chungo lapcha.
palang,
Palan chungo the loju the yure. The kon sem yapio mare. Then kon the lodzing tugumare. Then a sanje segadu de sha samazu. Then kon ripa yapuzu yapudan. Palan chungo.
palang chungo,
Chuddapantaka.
palang chenpo chung din sung ro. Palang da nipa chunga dala chunga ye ro. Nipa din la din, nipa chenpo ye re.
Rinpoche, the Ming, the Drapa Ming, Palan chungo, small road. Lam chungo, kon the ngama the Drapa ripa yomare. Then Sanje the Segudu, the Charan the Gendun, the Japale Samazu. Then kon Sha Samazu son. Then kon Gomja, kon the Tela Nyomon. Tela Yapa Yomare, Nyomon Yapa Yomare. The Lam Rim the Yure.
Papa lang chung sen lang chung.
Papa Lanchun. The Loju Larona.
O de chu lo ju xie chun de re.
Okay, he said me. We got through all of it, and he told me to tell the story. Okay, so it's Chuddapantaka is a story of a monk who was very slow at learning. When he would try to memorize a line, by the time he got to the next line, he would forget the line before. I believe it was a word. So he would memorize a word, get to the next word, and forget the word before it. So he had a very hard time memorizing and learning in general. He was a very small capacity. So the Buddha said to do various chores. He first gave him a meditation to do while he was sweeping. He told him to go clean things. So he started to go clean things. And then the Buddha slowly integrated sayings into his cleaning. And then slowly integrated teachings into his cleaning. And because he was cleaning the monastery, and because he was cleaning the monk's shoes and sandals and cleaning, he was creating virtue because he was working for holy beings, which was helping to get rid of the obstacles that he had, get rid of the obscurations to his wisdom, and remove some of the non-virtuous karma that was binding him to that ignorance. So he was doing all of this cleaning and creating virtue. And the Buddha said, now I want you while you're sweeping to say, abandon dirt, abandon stains. And then you say to yourself, here dirt is an affliction such as anger. The great masters say that anger is bad, so I will abandon it. So he started to build upon his sweeping virtue with actual meditation, because meditation doesn't mean a mountaintop staying silent. It really doesn't. Meditation means familiarizing. There are two kinds of meditation: single-pointed meditation, fixed, and analytical. Analytical meditation is just familiarizing yourself with a topic over and over again until you know it. So he was familiar, he was meditating while he was sweeping on the removal of afflictions. And then it became more and more of a practice and a teaching where he was saying that here, this dirt is empty, and my afflictions are empty, but still conventionally exist and need to be removed in order to become a Buddha. And then he became a great scholar. And that's how the story goes. There's probably a lot more to it than that. I think there's another part to it, but that's the point. Next question, under what circumstances are we doomed to repeat the mistakes of our past lives? I don't know what that means. Our behaviors that we have now are because we have familiarized ourselves with non-virtue in the past. So when we behave badly, it's just from our previous lives' familiarization with non-virtue. Rinpoche, ngatsu jewa ngama June. Say de yongudue. Yongdue. Yes, he's saying yes. So what I just said is correct, that we are doomed to repeat the same mistakes because we have an affinity for non-virtuous behavior. We become familiar with it. So those imprints of familiarity come over into this life. Under what circumstances are we doomed? Okay. I see something. No, I can't see. Okay, that must be something. Juche, for doing this online teaching, I'm so blessed. Me too. Rinpoche, tuchena, then the computer sonchana sheda yapodu, chiran getru segadu. Okay, the Prajna Sutras. Chenrezig had teachings on the heart truths on the website, and recite the heart, which is beautiful. What are the teachings on the other Prajna Parami? Are there others? Okay, so there is the 100,000 verse, the 20,000 verse, and the 8,000 verse Perfection of Wisdom Sutras also. The Heart Sutra contains everything that all of them do. So the Heart Sutra has the same contents as the 100,000 verse. It's just implicitly within it. So the 5 paths are the topic of the 100,000 verse as well. Rinpoche. Parshin. Boom. Ni chini. Jetong. Kanga chipa. Sherab nimpo. Dang parshin. Boom. Nangla dunda chipa. So what I said. So the meaning is exactly the same of the 100,000 Perfection of Wisdom Sutra and the Heart Sutra. So the 100,000, 20,000, and 8,000 verse are all the same. The Heart Sutra is a summary of those. or of that information. When can we get out of this crisis? I'll ask, but Rinpoche, Natsa Gadutsar.
Kaduchada Hako Mara Takade, Drama Nata, Pelak is one dog in the Pegades.
I don't know when this will end, but I do know that if you do the mantra of Tara and the mantra of Medicine Buddha, that it will help. But I don't know when it will end. Does karma cause it? Okay, I think that's it. Do I have more? Hold on. He's leaving. He just left. About a story I heard about a monk. Okay, under what circumstances, mistakes, past lives? No. Just practicing the... Okay, no, you can't by just practicing the 10 virtues attain complete liberation. By just practicing the 10 virtues, can we attain complete liberation? The answer is no. They're the foundation for the practices that are necessary to attain complete liberation. But just liberation at the lowest level requires the going for refuge, the practice of the 10 virtues, practice of the highest higher training in ethics, concentration, and wisdom, which assumes that you have renunciation. So renunciation is not within the 10 virtues. So no, you can't achieve liberation without renunciation, and you can't achieve Buddhahood without renunciation and bodhicitta. So whichever liberation is being spoken of, none of those can be achieved by just the 10 virtues. Rinpoche.
Wow.
Megewa ju pana kuna ngachu shanchu le yomare. Yeah. Yeah, you need to practice all of the 5 paths Rinpoche was just saying: accumulation, path of preparation, the path of seeing, the path of meditation, and the path of no more learning. So all of these are required in order to practice. Oh, wow. Hey, Don. How are you? Wow, long time no see. I live in a beautiful home now. I can't wait to talk to you. When you get off of this thing, call me, please. And I have, and you can meet Lori too. My beautiful, significant other wife, long life partner person. I think that's it. I'm sorry if I have to skip that. The books. Did I get everything? I think I got all the questions. Wait. I'll do monk, past lives. No. Just practicing the 10 virtues. When can we get out of the crisis? Does the karma outside of our minds? Okay. All right. That's everything. So let's do some, let's do some concluding prayers. And if I missed anything, I apologize. I see there's chat and things like that. I'll get better at this as we go. But I think that answers all of everyone's questions. There's a vaccine. Oh, okay. That's all just chat amongst everyone. So, okay, cool. Thank you, everyone. Let's do the concluding prayers in the prayer book in English. Hold on. Let's get to there. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well. With whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times, I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All powerful Avalokiteshvara, Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, the spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Tuji Rinpoche, Gutsi Shapi Denrona, Ngatsu Uma Rinchin Choa, Uma Jupa Kanga Chirona. So is next week when we're going to do the, or Ted, are you there, Ted? I see what's happening.